All right, welcome back to American Agenda. I'm Bob Sellers. Saturday, President Trump had a phone call with officials in Georgia discussing irregularities that took place in the November election. Now, it was supposed to be a private phone call. It was leaked to several news outlets. During the call, the president asked to find 11,780 votes, as he believes he won the state over Biden. Here's a piece of that.
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state, and flipping the state is a great testament to our country. All we have to do, Clayton, is find 11,000 plus votes.
All right, let's bring our panel back in. Bob, I'll start with you. There's some people that are outraged at this call. There are other people saying this is the president that feels like they've made mistakes there and that he wants to show that he actually got the votes that he believes he got. What's your take on it?
Well, Bob, as you know, I'm coming to you as a partisan, I try, but I'm an engineer's background along with politics, so I try and just analyze things, look at the data, look at what was said. I listened to the whole hour-long conversation, and I don't see what the deal is. I honestly don't see what the deal is, because this isn't some phone call with just Raffensperger and Trump. It had Mark Meadows. It had legal teams on both sides.
Yeah.
And basically what that line, what that quote, that soundbite leads up to is the fact that Trump and his team are saying, you know what, we've won this state by hundreds of thousands of votes. I believe at one time President Trump mentioned in that phone call 400,000. That's what they think they won by. And basically what he's saying is, look, Raffensperger, I know you're lame. I think you're lame. No one likes you. He said things like this. Just do the minimal amount of your job. Just the minimal amount of your job to find us like 12,000 votes and we'll be done. Even though we think with further investigation, real investigation, you'll find a ton more. But we're in crunch time. Just do your job. Just find this. That's what I think it boils down to as a way to summarize that for the people who may be just reading the Washington Post.
Nicole, I'm guessing you take it differently.
I do take it differently. I think this is him trying to change the election. Earlier today, the Georgia Secretary of State had a press conference. They walked through the various claims, the claim of this many. It was something like 66,000 teenagers that voted, and they're saying the reality is zero. I mean, they've done a thorough investigation. They've gone through the signatures. They've gone through the claims of if there were people who had passed away that were voting, and they have found what irregularities there were, and it does not change the result of the Georgia election for president. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is a real pickle that the president is putting the Georgia Republicans, including the senators who are running tomorrow, as well as the party in. You're telling these voters that they have an unfair election. I'm confused why the entire Georgia delegation hasn't asked for recounts in their own. Why are they being seated in Congress? If it was so incorrect and done so poorly, then why did every Georgia member get sworn in yesterday to Congress? It just doesn't add up.
Yeah. Jim, what about that? Because there are people that say it was certified. There are people, as Nicole's pointing out, said it was clean enough for them to be elected. Why was it not clean enough at the presidential level?
Look, I think the president's asking questions, and he's concerned. He thinks there were votes that were not counted. And look, the election, there is a process. The process goes until January 6th. Too many people want to say the process was over in November. They want to say the process was over in December. The truth of it is the process is over in January, on January 6th. I think the president was asking questions about votes that have been counted, because he also wants to make sure that the process, when it's finalized on the 6th, that everybody has information. He was trying to get information as well. So, look, however it turns out, the one thing I do support is a process, and the process going all the way forward. January 6th, we will have the final piece of the process, and we have had that. We've had people object to these vote counts 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago. I think this is all part of the process, and I just think the process needs to go forward. And the president was just asking for more information, hopefully to get the individuals who will be voting on January 6th more information, which he believes is to the detriment of the election process.
Okay, January 6th, you're putting that as a magic date. Interesting today that I interviewed Marsha Blackburn, senator from Tennessee, and she was suggesting that they put off certification for 10 days, put off the electoral vote. I don't know exactly how this is supposed to unfold, but that there should be 10 days in which all the states can go back and resolve the issues that she feels there may exist on the state level and put off the electoral vote. The certification isn't the right, but filing of those electoral votes on Wednesday, that it should be delayed. So, Bob, your take on that idea, that pushes us beyond January 6th, or should this just be more ceremonial in which these are the votes, the vice president receives them, this is who won the election?
Well, yeah, I agree that we should look into this. I like this idea that Blackburn's talking about, that Cruz is talking about with the commission. And even per the Constitution, you have the hard deadline of January 20th as an inauguration day that someone will be president, but that doesn't mean that everything has to be resolved. The Constitution even states if this is ongoing, if you have ongoing debate in the House or Senate to choose who the vice president or the president is, then you go to the House, the Speaker of the House as an acting, or someone as an acting president. So even that day, you can still go past that to debate this. And what Nicole brought up is really good, because what Georgia has done, what Raffensperger and others have come back, is that they've talked to the Trump team and they just say, hey, whatever your data is, it's wrong. We disagree with it. On that phone call, Raffensperger said that only 2 dead people voted in Georgia. I found that very hard to believe. But the thing that really came out of that phone conversation was the fact that Raffensperger's team is disagreeing with Trump, but they're not sharing information. One thing that was very clear was that the Trump team said, let's just sit down. Let's have a meeting. Let's look at this block of 27,000 votes, which is enough to change the election.
Okay.
Let's look at our data. You guys disagree with it, the Georgia folks. Let's compare data, show us where we're wrong. And they couldn't even agree on that meeting yet, or sharing that data.
Right. Yeah, and we saw Gabe Sterling. Gabe Sterling came out today, the voting systems implementation manager, out today, refuting some of those claims that the president made. This is a very polarizing topic, and that's why we're discussing it here. We like to have various views on the topic, so thank you for discussing it. And we want to bring our panel back in as far as what's going in. I'm going to start with you, Nicole, because this thing going down in Georgia, there's so many things being assessed. Who's going to win these races and why? What are voters looking at?
Well, voters are looking hard at what they're always looking at when they're going to an election. What's going to make their lives better? How are we going to make sure that they've got the money to put food on their table and send their kids to a good school and be safe there? But you know, I don't think there's anyone in Georgia who's unaware that the balance of the Senate hangs with them on these 2 seats. If Democrats win both of them, then the Democrats will control the Senate.
No,
and
Nicole,
that's an important.
Do you think people are turning out more? We've saw one of the issues we saw was the $2,000 check that didn't go out, that people got $600 checks. And then I'm not sure how that plays in Georgia. I don't think everybody should get checks. I think the neediest people should. But do you think that people are turning out for Democrats because they think if we control the Senate and the House, and assuming the White House, we're going to get blank checks filled in, all the livelong day?
I don't think they're going to get blank checks all the livelong day, but I will say that both Senator Perdue and Senator Loeffler campaigned on supporting that and being for the $2,000 check. So they also see that that is a popular solution right now in this pandemic for Georgians and a popular policy to take. So they were campaigning, ran ads talking about their support for this, and it's their own Senate leader, Mitch McConnell, that's blocking it. The House is for it. Quite frankly, President Trump was for it. And it's really just the Senate Republican leadership that stopped it and put these 2 senators into a bit of a bind when they had to take this position. They had to go against their own Senate leadership, and clearly it's something Georgians want. It's something that all the Senate candidates can agree that this check should have gone.
Yeah. Bob, how do you think this is shaken out? We've got a lot of people wondering about the vote there. Why should Republicans turn out if they don't believe in the vote?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. It really is. You know, I just looked up some polling from the Trafalgar Group, which was it ended up being one of the go-to polls, you know, during this cycle when all of them were so off. And I think it was just last week, that's their latest one, showed both of Ossoff and Warnock in lead, just a much smaller lead for Warnock. But that is very concerning. And I'm one of those that believe that President Trump did win Georgia, and he won by a healthy margin. So you have to believe that these candidates, Perdue and Loeffler, can pull it out. The thing is that all we're hearing right now is that the Democrats are lead. Early voting is in the millions. Things are going crazy at the polls. We have to turn out. But to go back to your question, this is the hard part. It's like if Republicans are disheartened because of what they saw on the presidential level, why go out and vote if it's going to be tainted again? That is something we have to push through, because right now, the only way to get Perdue and Loeffler in the Senate is to go vote. That is the only way.
Right.
So we have to get our people out there. We have to have poll workers. I believe there's like thousands more now on the Republican side to watch these polls, to watch these voting locations. And we have to turn out. We have to get our friends to turn out. All those people in Georgia, go out, vote for Perdue and Loeffler. That is our only choice. But yeah, it is a tough deal to say, why should I even vote when we saw the results? And it's just a very, very interesting and frustrating election cycle to have to go through all of this. And it comes down to these two races. I mean, control of the Senate is with these two races, and it's crucial that people go out, push through that. And that's why this election verification, really analyzing election fraud, election law violations, that's what's so crucial to give people confidence this time and next time around.
Yeah, because just what you said leads me to this question, Jim. When are we going to see the actual results of this election? Because I feel like if this is within a percentage or two, which is what the polls are saying, both sides are going to say, wait a minute, it wasn't legit. And when are we going to actually see the result from the Georgia races?
Well, I would agree with you. And one thing that's interesting, a divided government is actually a better government than having everybody in the same party. I lived through it. I've lived through both when I was in Congress. So I'm hoping that Republicans in Georgia say, you know what, we want to make sure that we have checks and balances on the president and on the House. And I'm hoping that they get out. But in the end, we're a divided country as well. And look how close our House of Representatives is as far as numbers. Look how close our Senate is. Look how close some of these numbers were. It tells you how divided we are. And that does mean we're going to have a very close election probably in Georgia as well. Although, remember, Democrats usually come out early, the early voting. Republicans will come out on Election Day. It is going to get tight, but I agree with you. If we're in 1% or 2%, both sides are going to complain, depending on who wins or who is winning, that, hey, their votes weren't counted properly. And it may be a couple weeks before we get this election finalized as well.
Yeah. Nicole, do you think there was cheating that went on in the November 3rd election in Georgia?
No, I don't.
Do you, Bob?
Absolutely.
And Jim?
Absolutely.
I think in every state there is cheating. It just depends on how much of a number there is. I think the early voting and the mail-in voting caused a lot in some of the states. So I do think you can't say there was none. There was always going to be some, because there is always somebody who wants to try and game the system, even in the voting system.
Why do people do that? Isn't the cost like 5 years in jail?
You know, it's amazing, but you're exactly right. But yet some people get away with it. I know in Ohio there were multiple people, even 4 years ago, that were caught, were found to be guilty, and they got through it and got by it. And I'm not sure why. I think sometimes people just believe if they can game the system, they're going to try and game the system.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, we're going to take a break here and keep it on Newsmax.
Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.